Hi, welcome. My name's Anise Kisselbash. Thanks for tuning in. And today's question is, how do I motivate myself when nothing's going right? How to motivate myself when nothing is going right. Thank you for the question. And I completely feel your pain in that question. I was there not long ago when I started my first business. This was a few years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago. When I started the first business, it failed. After leaving the corporate life in a steady, stable, secure job and lots of travel, all the usual mod cons of a job, to pursue my own passion, to create a life that I loved, the first business failed. It was awful, it was humiliating, and my confidence was at rock bottom. And it was really difficult to motivate. I didn't feel motivated at all. I didn't feel very motivated to do much. And didn't go out much, and so it was an awful place. So here's how I overcame it. Because I overcame it and then started another business and then another one, which is this one. And here's how I did it. Now, let's bring a bit of physics into this. Now, Newton's first law of motion states that an object will remain uniform. Okay, it doesn't move, it remains uniform. Not that it doesn't move, it remains stable, uniform, and so on, until an external force interacts with it. Okay, so something will remain stable in this uniform motion until an external force acts against it. Now, what does this have to do with you? Well, when you're demotivated, when you're feeling hopeless and helpless, you're in this certain state. Okay, you're in this certain state of emotion, right? So you're in this emotional state, and it's very difficult to move and shift out of this state unless some external force, just like physics, just like some external force comes and moves you and snaps you out of it. Okay, and so the way I did it, and back then, was I used to go running, and that's it. You create movement, create motion, and that will help you. That's the external force you bring in to help you move. So I used to go running every day, from 1 kilometer a day to 3 kilometers a day. Sometimes when I was feeling really desperate, I'd run 5 kilometers just to try and lift myself up. And it was enough to help me come back and then think and do something proactive, rather than feeling like not getting out of bed again, or just moping remaining in that negative helpless state. So the key to motivate yourself when you're not feeling motivated is to create movement. Because as the wonderful and wise and mentor of mine, Tony Robbins, says, emotion, because that's what you want to do, you want to create a new emotion. Emotion is created by motion. Okay? Emotion is created by motion. So Newton's first law of motion, you've got to create a new external force to move you and shift you out of it. Okay? So what can you do? Maybe go running if you like running, or another exercise you prefer, swimming, and go hiking. That's another thing we used to do as well. We went hiking. That really helped me as well. So any sort of physical exercise starts releasing new chemicals in your brain, new neurochemicals, which helps motivate you, oxytocin and dopamine and all sorts of things. That's a motivational drug. Okay. Another thing you could also do is dance. All right. So one thing I did in the morning was make sure no one's around. Download or shortlist your 3 or 4 favorite upbeat songs. It's got to be upbeat and motivating and disco-y, or whatever you want to call it. Put your earphones on and make sure you're in a room where no one can see you or hear you, and dance like a 5-year-old. Absolutely just go crazy. Just do that for 5 minutes. I promise you, you will feel better. And when you feel better, you're in a receptive mode to receive inspiration, insight, ideas. And when you get those ideas, take action. Okay, so that's how you can motivate yourself when nothing's going right. You need to put yourself in a motivated state, and you do that with motion. You do that with dancing, with running, physical exercise. And when you're in that state, you will feel like a more empowered place to do something. Okay? Thank you again for asking that question. And please don't forget to subscribe. I think the button's there or there. and ask a question below and I will answer it in an upcoming episode. Okay? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Anise Kizilbash and I'll see you in another episode. Bye.